I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Like, these are my superheroes. Oh, Mopar Underground guys. There's the coolest stuff.
I don't think you guys meet yet.
I met Bruce in passing a little bit.
Neil
Hi,
Simpson.
Neil Simpson.
And he's one of Zach's blood brothers there. You're good. So Bruce worked in vehicle development for a while, was working and back and forth at the plant. And when he was on the J8 program, you know, most of those were diesels.
Yep.
But they had done some work with this HESCO unit, and he knew a couple of the guys down there. So
Down at HESCO, who had still had the plans or had one sitting on a shelf then.
He did, yeah. And I was actually looking to take and put him on, first of all, the LJ, because I did the LJ design.
Okay.
And it's 4-liter, and
so you know Lowell Babcock then as well?
Oh yeah, we know Lowell.
Grandpa Lowell. We call him Grandpa Lowell internally, but
and we switched over to the 3/8 and for everything new. And then we said, well, we got one. We'll put one on a 3/8. The area had the plate made up and everything else, so we did that. And
the 3/8,
I turned it over to
genuinely,
Mopar.
it can use a little help every once in a while.
Is
that politically correct?
Very politically correct. That was very kind of you. It can use a little help. I wonder whose idea that was.
But anyway, we turned it. I let the Mopar guys look at it and see if they wanted to package it and do it. And
open up.
It didn't see enough sales, of course.
Yeah, of course. Comes down to the financials, right?
So I ended up still with the thing over all that time, and Jerry got this at the trade. I go, I know where we can put that.
So this came with a 3.8. It was a J8 with a 3.8?
Yeah. Well, this is actually a JK8.
It's a JK. So it's a 2007. You can throw that over there, Bruce.
Yeah.
That's the goofy one in the middle of the friggin' hood.
So anyways, this was a converted.
It was already
JK.
done as a JK.
Oh, okay.
JK8.
All the panels for the sides of these were all my part numbers for the J8 series. And so we took the side panels, the floor panel, the back panel, and everything, and put regular part numbers on them. And then Mopar took them and sold them as a kit. And that was the JK8 kit.
So it was actually a Mopar kit.
The original kit was a
four-door.
Mopar, and they offered it two versions of it. They offered a regular cut and weld on version, and then later they came with a bolt on version, and you could get it pre-painted, but it was like, it was like 10 grand.
Did anybody actually buy it? I want to know where where is that kit
They
at?
sold quite a bit. They sold quite a few.
They sold them.
No way.
And I've heard that there are
to dealers now.
I have heard that there are some that they ordered and never installed. So they're out. It's like the crate Jeeps. It's one of those.
It's one of those folklore, right?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
legendary stuff,
Legendary.
right?
Yep.
It does package really nice.
But it does. It's no.
That's remarkable how.
And it livens the 3.8 up nicely. Dead idle
Wakes it
to
up.
mid-range. It really helps.
Really?
You know, it's not a big high RPM zinger horsepower burn.
No.
It just really makes the torque.
We had it out to Moab after we right after we got the the supercharger on.
Yep.
We went to Moab with it, and
did fine.
it was okay. In fact, we had put the new axle on, and we had to re-gear to 410 because that was what I forget what the hell was in it when we got that E-lock or whatever. So that was, I think, the first time I put it in four-wheel drive, and I kept saying, I said, Bruce, I sure hope these freaking gears are right.
Because now you're just guessing.
I said, I'm now 1,700 miles away.
You're 1,700 miles away, goes into four-wheel drive, you're like, I should figure that out now.
Because believe me, we built a few of these at the plant over the years where they had like 370s on the front and what the hell is this coming in? 370s in the front and a 410 in the rear.
No, you did not.
It makes for some exciting hopping.
The dealer gets it, they're furious. Do you know, was this kit already made as part of the HESCO kit, or did you guys have
No, we picked this, we had the tubing.
Okay, you had the tubing and you had to figure out the intake.
It packaged with it, we had to bend a few lines, and there's stuff clearance things I'm wild about. But,
road tracks.
But,
Air pump, that's fascinating. God, is that cool.
But it came out pretty cool, I think.
It came out amazing. I love this. You know what I mean? Like, hold on a second.
Oh, we got one of those. That's the JL latch. Sorry, I got the audio
Yeah, I love the JL latches, but that's their only.
Yeah, if they were preloaded, it would be good.
Yes. God, that's beautiful. All right, so now on to the stroker. This is a nice touch.
Yeah, well, I do the RC stuff too, though. And I don't know who the hell they got that does their hood props, but they don't seem to be able to make them the same.
That is the
The
truth.
hood prop engineer. Who the hell is this guy?
Who is
You know?
the hood prop engineer?
You know, one comes on the hood, the other one, some of them are down here, and they hawk up. And the XJ is the one that I'll damn near kill myself with
Because
that
it's
little,
tucked away.
little dinky
It's just-
thing on the side here, and you know.
Who is the hood prop engineer?
Yeah,
It should be. That should be a conversation for like one of the podcasts
Yeah.
or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, please step up. You know, will a real hood prop engineer
please
stand up?
stand
you know?
up.
Won't raise a
Bitch
thing.
slap you.
God, is that beautiful?
Right? And we did the
pretty
2-cal induction with it.
Who's
so-
taking this?
Oh, I don't know. What's Spectre?
This
They
is
quit making
Spectre's?
it. Yeah, they quit making it about 6 or 8 years ago.
Shut up! That's a production model right there.
I was on.
I've never seen that.
I got on Marketplace, and one of the guys that has a shop up in Detroit area, one of his employees had one. He says, "Hey, I bought this thing, and he said I'm not going to use it. Are you interested?" I said, so I said,
Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
$45. And with all the clamps, I mean
The clamps, the fittings,
the clamps,
That one's-
everything. You know.
That one's a converted. Oh my God.
Spectre made it, and it's
Yeah, it's nice.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
It's nice.
So now with the 4.6, did you do any computer? Any computer?
we changed the
Islander
electronic. We did have major electronic changes,
Okay.
and I've been driving it because it's that self-learning thing. I've probably got, I don't know, 200 miles.
Yeah.
And we're getting any an occasional check-in. But I think we've kind of zeroed it in. I think because we did the split headers on this.
Okay. Yep.
And
see
I
it.
think we
Upstream
got
number two.
I think we got an upstream O2 sensor that's
Acting
not,
up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
got-
like in the other side.
The one diagnostic scanner setup I had wouldn't let me reset the adaptive memories. So friend Marty's got access to a good one, so we're
Sure.
gonna go back and reset. We got the sync on the Opto at the end now. But still got to go after that one. I got an O2, actually the O2 just showed up.
Oh, good.
And so
Did you guys built the motor, right?
Yeah.
This is. Yeah.
Which was one of the thrills because
yes,
one of our buddies up in Detroit hooked us up with a donor motor.
Okay.
So we got the donor motor all built, ready to go. I bring this over. We take the 6 out of this one.
Yeah. Take your
And
factory
we
one
got,
out.
so now we got both sat on engine stands next to each other.
Yeah.
And we're standing there and we're looking, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, we missed that.
didn't
because-
realize there was two really different pumps.
Yeah.
For,
One's got all the bosses on.
Yes.
The low mount AC compressor, the alternator brackets are different. So I ended up welding up whole sets of brackets and making them.
oh yeah, on the
you
donor.
did not.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
on the
yeah.
donor engine, the air compressor is up here. The alternator is down there or whatever, and we're missing a boss that's well, I can tell you, 2 inches long
right.
and about 1.25 inches in diameter,
by
and
the
the big
pan
through bolt for the pivot that sits on the end of the block. It ain't there.
So I machined up.
Was it a Cherokee motor that you
Yeah,
got?
I think.
You got a. I'm listening, going. That's the problem. Is
Yeah,
the Cherokee
I think
motors
we got,
and
I
the.
think we got a Cherokee
So
motor.
we made brackets for both sides and modified this motor mount.
Normal people can't do that, though, Bruce. Normal people look at that and they go, "Well, I
Yeah.
now have a $4,000
Well, let me
paperweight."
tell you,
Can't do that one either,
we stood there and we stared at it for a while
Yep.
and said, well, okay, what are we going to do? So we started and we looked at, there were a couple of unused tapped holes.
Spare.
And I said, well, look, we're going to get a piece of strap iron and we're going to start there.
Yeah.
And then we'll build off of that. And, knowing that the most critical thing with a damn serpentine belt setup
Right.
is that everything's got to be lined
In
up.
line, yeah, in plumb with each other.
Yeah, if we're off a little bit this way or that way. So then we had ordered all these parts ahead of time. So the water pump comes. It's got an extra attachment for the water pump that ain't on the block also. So we built the bracket that we built picks up the power steering pump,
Yep.
the AC compressor and one of the flags for the water pump.
Okay.
And I don't know if I got a flashlight in one of these cars here, but anyway, you can just see the edge of the bracket down here, kind of the motor mount. You got, oops. It's a triangular looking
Pretty
rig.
elaborate, but it's not really very big.
As you can see her down in there.
Oh, you got it.
Oh yeah, good.
Oh yeah. That is awesome.
And we made it all work.
Yes, you did.
And then on the other side, we did the same thing. We had to make a, and this one's easy to see. You can see the bracket there that supports the alternator.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. How stinking funny is that?
But it was a friggin' eye opener when we looked at that, and then I mean, the obvious thing is the big old boss that's right on the block.
Yeah.
You know, the block is flat, sits right on the top of the oil pan. It's like, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. You've already committed.
Yeah.
What's this for?
Oh, okay. I was gonna tell you. One of the things that Bruce used to do a lot of sand racing.
Okay.
So that's the line lock. The old drag racer line lock.
That's old.
Okay, that's old school shit.
That is
And
for sure.
when we first did the YJ, this is stick shift.
Right.
This is. I bought this new. It's got 12,000 miles.
Right. This is one of my favorites to use.
Yeah, and the line lock is right on the gear shift.
On the
motor.
gear
so
shift,
you can either push use the just apply the brake and hit the line lock, or you can throw the switch, and that'll hold it until you release the switch. But on this one, if you're perched up on a rock, it's like getting a free foot.
Yeah.
Because you hold the button, and as soon as you release it, there's just a little red push button on it.
Yeah.
You can see it on this one too.
Yeah. But it's
Probably
exactly
more
it. It's a free
visible on
foot.
that one, and then and then we put a switch panel in here. So here's the brake, and then over the auxiliary fan.
I must have an update. I keep pushing the wrong. Instead of my flashlight. That is crazy. So those are actual old school line locks.
Yeah, and that's $45 from Summit Racing.
Yeah.
And and he throws them. He puts them on just about anything he feels. I don't think you got one on this.
Yeah.
But still, it's kind of a neat way to go.
What's this stuff? You get full electrical
Well,
panel, or that's just all
See, this has JK axles on it,
Okay.
and they're all electric
You
lockers.
did the e-lockers.
So it's got that's the relays for the e-lockers.
Nice.
And that's the auxiliary fan. We
Sure.
moved, we took the training cooler out of the lower radiator.
Yep.
Put a separate cooler in for that. I got a little power steering oil cooler I may or may not throw on.
Sure.
But
And then this is a pusher.
yeah, that's just a pusher auxiliary fan. Either comes on manually, or you can set up on a thermostat.
Yeah.
The radiator is.
Yeah.
We try to keep it simple.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I like about what Bruce does is we try, when we do one of these things, we try to do as little of real custom parts as possible.
Sure.
So that if you're ever out, on the trail.
Yeah, if you're
and-
1,700 miles away again.
Yeah, or if you're up in Upper Michigan or something like that, you can always go to the AutoZone and grab this or grab that.
Right?
Which, it's not as exotic as some of the things you can buy and stuff, but yeah, it gets the job done.
It gets the job done, and it does it well. What,
The metal cloak suspension, and that's their
got the drag link flip.
Yep. It's got the dual rate springs on it.
Sure. Old man Emu shocks
Yep.
and steering stabilizers. Did you guys do the truss work, or did they, when you
No,
bought them
yeah.
like that? No.
Well, I found this one out by Chicago,
Oh, okay.
and the guy had put that Artec axle truss set on it, front and rear.
This is Bruce, who was just talking to us, who's done a lot of the work for Jerry. This is it says designed and built by. I bet you that's the same Bruce. And they were just mentioning Bruce was actually part of the design team, who has some of our friends from many years ago on there. And these are like, this is
I'm not
that.
trying to butt in, but Bruce was on the design teams.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, he was
And
on the
just
design
telling
teams
us.
for all of these here.
Yeah, and he was right. Oh, these are actually. This is so. Excuse me, while we cross over here. So this is actually the Jeep engineering design team. And Bruce was just mentioning he was on with the Unlimited, and that's where we know who we affectionately call Grandpa Lowell from years ago. And then there's the J8, and we were just looking at, the J8 here, sorry, I was looking at that. The J8 was this really wicked cool Jeep. It's actually my favorite if I could ever find one. It was primarily built for like the Israeli army, I think. It was one of the Egyptian army. It was a big contract that we got, and then we exported them all. The problem with their production here in the States was they were diesel, and they were built at a time with a diesel engine that couldn't pass EPA emissions, federal regulations. So we could not have them here in the States. But look at that. That is cool. I love that. This is the stuff that is just so uniquely Jeep. But is this Bruce's Jeep itself then? Okay.
That's
And-
35 years old, that Jeep. That's why it's been used a lot.
Sure. Yeah, he was just giving us, because I guess he's obviously done a lot of building with Jerry.
Well, he just, him and Jerry just put in a
The
stroker motor
stroker
in the
on that one.
Unicorn over there.
Yep. And Jerry was showing me the line locks that Bruce is. I wondered if. Well, this probably.
Always line locks.
There it is, right? Always.
We're all-time racers. Both of us were drag racers.
Were you?
Yes.
Okay. So.
I had a 68 Plymouth Barracuda.
Okay. So you were a pavement racer then, as far as.
Then.
Okay.
But I've off-roaded this in sand drags and obstacle course in it.
Awesome. And you are
Karen Shabeck.
Karen,
Hi.
which is obviously
My husband.
husband.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Where did you guys and so that the old race series? I'm sorry to interrupt your guys' conversation. Where did you guys race at when you were doing the Jeep stuff?
This?
Yeah, the Jeep
Oh,
stuff.
well, a lot at the T4W track, which was a long time ago. We were at some of the different places in was it West Virginia or farther in southern Ohio, and then there was a couple of tracks that aren't around anymore in was it Lisbon?
Yep,
And
Lisbon.
Of course, we've been also a lot of stuff, not just racing, but off-roading in Kentucky.
Sure.
And we've been in North Carolina.
Sure.
Of course, Bruce has been out to Moab and all that kind of jazz.
A bunch,
you know.
right. What did you do, like Tri-County four-wheelers? They have their racetrack, and Gravel-Rama.
Yes,
You probably
we were
ran at
Gravel-Rama.
Gravel-Rama.
Yep.
Do you ever remember racing
IOK.
IOK.
Gravel-Rama, IOK.
Okay. Did you remember?
Honey, we go back 45 years.
I know. That's the history that I love, right? And so we're physically located. We're physically located about an hour east of Cleveland, but
Okay.
puts us about an hour north of Poland, Columbiana, kind of Lisbon, West Salem,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff, North Lima. And so that was obviously a huge hotbed of clubs and the racing. And
Well, we had a big one here in Toledo, T4W, Toledo Four Wheelers.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
put on big races
Yes.
for quite a few years. Big bogs, but we had sand drags, we had big obstacle courses.
Right.
But of course, years ago we lost the stuff,
The property that you
I think the guy died, and of course, if you have trouble with your insurance and everything, I think an awful lot of tracks around have been lost because people
Right.
don't have the insurance.
So recently, because of our physical proximity to Western Pennsylvania, there was the Allegheny Four Wheelers, which was a big club that you would have raced at or raced around. And the races that happened, so when people said they raced in Pittsburgh or they raced in Western PA, you were actually racing in Oil City, Pennsylvania. more or
Okay.
less.
We didn't do too much racing in PA, but we did an awful lot of off-roading. We had
Okay.
friends of ours that owned a huge, thousands of acres in Pennsylvania. Do you know where the trestle bridge was that fell down? Well, we were when
Oh,
they were all-
yeah. Kinzu. I'm sorry.
Kinzu.
Kinzu.
We
Yeah,
were
yeah,
there
yeah.
all the time because a friend of ours owned a lot of the property all the way
Yeah,
around
up in
Yeah, we were there.
Bradford, Kinzu.
Yeah, we were there all the time.
St. Mary's, that area.
When the bridge was still there.
When the bridge was still there, probably. Oh man, that's so cool.
Actually, yeah, I was on a train that crossed it one time. You know, took a sightseeing thing. It was funny because we had walked out on that bridge hundreds of times. You know, because we could come up the back way and come up.
Yeah, at that point in time, it wasn't a tourist attraction.
No,
it was just.
We trail right around there for years. You know.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of trail. He still doesn't race much anymore at all. He's building a new TJ.
Okay.
I think it is. My back is really bad. I've had 6 spine surgeries.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah.
Bad
so
bones.
Racing is.
Yeah, I don't race anymore. I actually don't much drive anymore because the bouncing of the steering wheel can bother
Through
me.
your
But
arms, yeah.
He's building another Jeep that's supposedly going to be nicer on me. You know, you should talk to him because he's doing all kinds of different stuff. That's Bruce right
Yeah.
there.
Yep. We were talking
What-
at length.
I can't.
I've met your wife now.
Oh, no.
I like her better than you. I just.
Thank you. I was just telling him about the new one you're building.
Yeah. LJ.
Okay.
I like motors.
Yeah.
So I got to build a 440 for it.
Oh. Okay.
Semi-manual valve body torque flight. First is first, second is second, third is first, second, third.
Okay. Yep.
4-to-1. 44s is all I'm running. Because I still like small axles. I don't need the kilometer
Okay.
stuff. I get away with. I've been running this 35 years with a 44 and a 30.
Okay.
With a 427.
Sure.
And had a bottle on it.
And you were racing with it as well.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, I know what lives and what not to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, the other one, built my own long arm and all this stuff, and I got a couple pictures, but I've also modified the spring setup. So I've got coil springs with hydraulics over. Little different approach. I got the stack control for all 4 corners.
Yep.
The hydraulic cylinders go right down through the center of the spring
Okay.
and actually push on the top plate of the spring.
Yep.
So if you push on the hydraulics, the spring goes down.
Yep. You lower the Jeep, but you'll stiffen your ride,
This-
right?
No, doesn't change the ride a bit. I'm still on the same springs. It just raises the Jeep.
Oh, so okay, so it'll raise the Jeep at that point in
Yep,
time.
so I
okay.
can make it lean, front, back, side, whatever I want to do,
Yeah.
just by raising the hydraulics.
Yes.
And I'm still riding on the springs.
Yes. Yeah, because you're not actually compressing the springs.
No.
You're actually
Raising the vehicle.
You're raising the vehicle.
Yeah. A little different approach.
Super different approach.
Yeah.
I've definitely had some crazy suspension. You know what I mean, guys with
Yep.
scissor arms and
Yeah, yep. Now this one, that way, it doesn't affect my normal riding, driving,
Right.
or anything else.
Right.
But if I would get it twisted up or start to lift the tire or whatever stuff,
Yeah.
I just force it down.
Yeah.
And I also got steering brakes right next to them.
Well, that's what actually broke the conversation for us because Jerry was showing me that you line lock everything.
I put line lock everything.
You line lock everything.
My van had line lock. My pickup had line
No,
lock.
you did.
I use it on everything.
hey.
It's great. I pull up somewhere. I want to really get stopped. I just put my foot on the brake, flip on the toggle, switch the brakes are on. And,
Have
Yeah.
you ever drag raced or anything?
I have not. I've not.
and
I-
drag
You know, you
racing-
sit there, go up there and click it, and you're holding that line lock, and your foot doesn't have to be on the brake, and that you can pop in there,
So you
gone.
sit there and light up the tires and
Yeah.
heat them up and stuff to drag race.
Yes.
But off road, I can be up twisted up on a hill, whatever like that. Especially if I get driving one of the sticks.
Yes.
I just put on the brakes hard, and I got besides the toggle switch, I got the line lock on the button and the shifter.
Yes.
So I just push on the button. I take my foot off the brakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can even with that or an automatic, then you just let go and you go.
And you figure we're one of the only ones,
works
we've got
great.
a 4-speed, still a...
Yeah, still manual tranny,
Manual,
you know.
and a
Yes.
carburetor.
And a carburetor,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
you're like this, and you're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to get your R's
Although
right where you want to.
We've done really good even on odd angles with our...
Big angles with a thermoquad.
Thermoquad.
Oh,
Likes
it's a
angles.
thermoquad.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hollies will not.
No.
Thermoquads
And
work great.
I wheel. I know you don't actually know me. I have a '64 CJ6 that I wheel
Oh,
the
perfect.
snot out of,
Yeah,
and I'll get twisted up like this, and then I'm
You're
just
going,
I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm done for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
until I sniper that,
Yeah.
but I can't get myself away from the little 134.
Bruce,
Yeah.
Bruce is a genius on doing thermopods, the carburation.
Okay.
Not many people know how to make one work, but that's also what I used to teach.
Sure.
When I worked at Motec years ago. So
Before he went into
Yeah.
Chrysler.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that was still Chrysler.
So you were at Motec
yeah,
before you went to well,
yeah.
Before I went to
was.
design.
to
Yeah.
design.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how long ago was that?
80, 81.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of years ago. When there was carburetors.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say that's what I
Yep.
mean. And we're a huge, like, at this point we're a sniper business. We sniper
Yeah.
virtually everything just based on technology and the average consumer. The carburetor, the average consumer comes into us and they want to jump out of their everyday vehicle and they want to jump into their Jeep,
Yeah.
vintage Jeep, and they want it to behave reasonably similar.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah. When we started, I moved over. I was writing automotive books and teaching Motec, and then Chrysler made me an offer to go be a corporate teacher. for
Okay.
them. So I taught in engineering and then around the world in the plants. But so I was teaching their engineers and mechanics, everything else at the headquarters.
Okay.
Well, in that time frame, it was from the early 80s to just about 90, we were switching everything over to fuel injection.
Yes.
So I was teaching fuel injection for the first time to all these people that are just starting to do it.
Who are terrified of it.
And yeah. So we went through a lot of that, learned a whole lot of stuff. So even when NHRA went to Pro Stock with fuel injection, I, tried to lend some wisdom to like the elite team,
Sure.
Jeg Coughlin,
Okay.
guys and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because I had the background in what fuel injection was supposed to do.
What it's supposed to do, yeah.
So on the new one, the 440, because they don't make fuel injection, I'm making my own. So I'm just basing it off of Dodge truck fuel injection.
Okay.
So I made my own intake setup, put in injectors, made my own crank trigger, built my own distributors, stuff. So make it work.
I love it. God, is that cool? What's the 440 out of?
440 was really strange story. 440 had like less
Excuse me?
than
Yes.
30,000 miles on it, and it had the torque flight.
Okay.
And it had a big old 203 or 205 on the back, whatever, the cast iron.
Yeah.
I still got them thrown in the garage.
Yeah.
Wanna get
Scrap
rid of
weight,
them.
right?
Get rid of them, yeah. And but anyways, this thing was sitting in some guy's yard, and he says, give me $300 to get it out of here. I go, yeah, because I was
Yeah.
looking for a big block. I originally built a stroker motor, just like that,
Okay.
for mine, and then I said, no, I'm going to go back to the big block, and I sold it to my another friend.
Okay.
And anyway, so I took this 440 out of the Ram Charger. It turned out that when I started looking at this Ram Charger more, it had been one that I used to race with in the Toledo four-wheelers, and it was up in Detroit.
No.
And it had been sitting ever since.
Yeah.
And so I go, wow, that's pretty cool. So I pulled this stuff out, junked the Ram Charger, and I still got the 44 front end that was under that I want to get rid of. But then, it had the torque plate and the engine and everything else, so I pulled it apart,
Yeah.
freshened it,
Yeah.
and then different cam and other stuff that I do.
Okay.
Cleaned up the heads a little bit and stuff, and then started building the motor.
Okay. So on a personal, why did you scrap the Ram Charger? It was just junked out. It sat too long.
It was all
Even though it was a
beat up
race,
and
it
had
wasn't.
been sitting outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then on a technical side, what are you doing about computer control for the injection?
I'm using the stock JTEC computer.
Okay.
There is so much of a realm with the adaptive memory and stuff, and a couple things I do with camshafts and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's really what I was asking. You said, oh, I'm putting my own camshaft in or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you have a lift duration and a grind in there. And now you swapped it from that JTEC computer.
There's a quick, easy secret for that.
Okay.
I've done it with all the stroker motors and all the other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is because typically you've got a little bit more duration overlap, stuff like that. I use typically RV cams because I want the low end.
Correct.
From just about idle on up. So they got a lot of lift, not a lot of extra duration. So they're not real lumpy per se. But what I do is I put in Rhodes lifters. Crane makes them too, that are bleed down lifters
Okay.
on all the motors. So you never know there's a cam in it.
Really?
At low RPM and idle. It hides the cam totally. Because they bleed down just enough. It's not lifting as much. That doesn't matter quite as much. It's wiping out some of the duration at low RPM.
Really?
Yeah, works great.
Lead down lifters with
Yep.
the RV
Yeah,
cam.
yeah, they were typically known as Rhodes, OAD, Rhodes
Yeah, yeah,
lifters,
yeah.
but Crane makes them, and everybody else now.
Yeah, it's a
And you put
design
those in-
based on somebody's name.
And,
or
all they do,
inventor.
if you look at them, all they do is they got some holes drilled a little bit different.
Yeah.
So when the oil pressure isn't up very high, they bleed off just a little bit. They compress the spring a little. That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
And you never know there's a cam in there.
yeah,
As soon as you bring the idle up a bit, all of a sudden I go, oh, that thing sounds good.
yeah. Cool.
So it's a simple
We could
way-
do this all day. I don't want
It's
to
a
keep
simple
you.
way to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. To play with that.
But I've been building race motors since the 60s.
Well, so I was explaining to your wife, we're an hour east of Cleveland, about an hour north of like Poland, Columbiana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
I used to, Tom Kennedy and all the guys from there.
So-
that's where the Spotty came from, was Tom. Long
really,
before he died.
Yeah, before he died, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I grew up in an era where you guys were all hitting stride. You know what I mean? And that particular business was more authentic, right? Before it was acquired and rip, strip, and dipped and changed and all that kind of stuff, you know? And of course, I have some acquaintances who grew up in that business as well and whatnot. But anyways, that is the era of Jeeps that I cut my teeth under, you know. And my dad was just a school teacher, and he was, he really couldn't afford to do much of anything. And we just went.
That was me.
So we had to figure stuff out on our own. We were just enthusiasts going to all the events and the shows, and crawling through things and understanding the nature of how these things tick. You know what I mean? And so I have a strong affiliation that the drag scene, the sand drags, the hill climb, the technical trail scene. That's really what gave birth to the aftermarket industry as we know it.
Yeah.
And many people who jump into their brand new JL right now with all the bolt-on stuff that they just got easily from a catalog, they don't really have an understanding of what
How you got there.
how we got here as an industry. And when you head out to like Las Vegas for SEMA and whatnot, the hot rod scene is already 100 years in. But the Jeep off-road scene is really only 40, 50 years, and that's because people doing this stuff, we're the pioneers in the Jeep off-road scene. Because when I go do hot rod shows and whatnot, and it's like, oh yeah, Jeep, my grandpa had one, we hauled firewood with it. It doesn't have this appeal, you know?
Yeah.
And so this appeal started because of the race scene and because of the aftermarket, right? Aftermarket specific stuff.
Yeah, we started switching over on the drag racing into off-road in about 75.
Right, and that's
Been
right
doing it
around in
ever
the
since.
70s from the hot rod drag race scene,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, we can hop these Jeeps up and do some cool
yeah.
stuff
Oh, yeah.
with them. And then, I mean, we still don't have, like, you have the runk, these actual runks are these,
Yeah,
most people don't know what a
I
runk
used to-
bumper
I
is.
used to trail ride with them all the
Yeah.
time down there at Cleves.
Yes,
And so all of us have been making bumpers back that way because
everybody made
the
bumpers.
trails were really narrow.
Yes.
And we all hit them, you know.
Yes, and
So I stuck with them.
Most people don't understand like where your elaborate bumper has come from today. It was a piece of square stock we just boogered on before, you know, and then
Or round pipe about this big.
round round drainage pipe. You know what I mean? This big with
Oh, yeah.
chain wrapped around it. And then I'll go back even further to what I would call dealer options. One of the pieces of interesting history I've done is dealerships used to have, like specifically Willys Kaiser era dealerships, had came almost what I feel out of the farm tractor scene where you would have a guy local who could build you a high lift or he could build you an implement. And so that's how these local areas, if you had a really unique implement on a tractor or some of these Willys pickup trucks, it's because there was a guy in an area and he could do that. You know what I mean?
Well, so many were farmers, and they are really inventive.
They were really inventive, right? Necessity is the invention, is the mother of all invention. And so, but there are these really cool grill guards. So I had this really elaborate Willys Overland grill guard for, they're specifically, we saw them the most on the wagons, but the wagon and the pickup truck. And what we've kind of traced that history back is that was probably a dealership somewhere in the Great Lakes region who a guy in the back room figured out how to make this beautiful, elaborate grill guard, and then made a jig, and made it for the next guy. And then that dealer, the owner of that dealer was like, "Hey, put another one of those out there," and made that truck sell, you know. And
I think that's where that one term is. You hear, "I know a guy."
Yeah.
I think that's where that originated, because somebody would buy a Jeep,
Yeah.
and they go
Where'd you get that?
to a Willys dealer or something, and they either see something there, or they'd say, "Well, hey, I'd like to get this, and you sell that." And he's, "No, but I know a guy."
I know a guy, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I've got one of those in my personal hoard, and I love like the history of where our industry has come from, you know. And then you've been with Chrysler on the design team since the late 90s.
Well, I started working for Chrysler 80. 81.
Oh, okay. So you jumped ship from Motec
Yeah,
in the
and
80s.
Motec into Chrysler, and then training, they decide to do away with typical whatever stuff. And luckily, I was able to go back in engineering and actually work for Jerry.
Okay.
In the plant, but in engineering.
Okay.
And then around 2000, I switched. I was still in engineering, but I went up north to design.
Okay.
So I started doing design, and that's when I started doing the J8s and the
Yeah.
TJ Unlimiteds and all those.
Yes.
Diesel and gas and all that. So
What do you know about the YJ unlimited version of the YJ, the long wheelbase YJ?
we did that. Actually, you heard the name Phil Tony?
I know. I do know.
Phil died this last year. But
Oh.
he was well known for doing all kinds of Jeep stuff out west.
Yeah.
But he lived right around here. Phil was instrumental in the one group of Wrangler type group from engineering up north there from the 80s, mid 80s up to probably mid 90s.
Okay.
And it's a YJ era stuff. And then there was a request from Egypt again to take and come up with something else. So that's where they ended up stretching a YJ. And so the YJ is, the long YJ is
on
actually
over here.
This is the next generation of what the YJ actually was in Egypt.
Right.
But this is actually a TJ
Okay.
and it's a 115-inch wheelbase
Okay.
and stuff. And so there was a YJ before that.
I know there was,
We didn't
yeah.
build too many of them.
Yeah.
But we built quite a few thousand of these, Egypt. And then we built them, just as a two-door like that, and just as you say. And then I was back and forth to Egypt, and building those.
Yeah.
Cairo. Do some derivatives of the TJ.
Mm-hmm.
We already know how to make the T1, the really long wheelbase.
Yes.
What can we do that is not the T1, but is not the TJ either?
Yes.
So we made like 5 different versions of a TJ Unlimited. We made a Scrambler.
Okay.
We made them with, those are 10 and 15. 10-inch wheelbase, 5-inch overhang is what an LJ is.
Yeah.
We made 10-inch, no overhang. We made 10-inch, 10-inch. We make it like a Scrambler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, we made a bunch of these things.
Yes.
And we made them wheelbase. We actually built some of them. And then finally, we kept taking it to the VPs and everybody else and said, okay, what are we going to do? And marketing's involved and all that. And then finally they go, okay, we really like the 10 and 5. We got room in the back. We can, and we made brochures out that you could take the brochure and lay
stretching
it down.
it.
It's a TJ.
And
You
stretch
can pull
it.
on it.
Oh, we know.
I got those,
No, do you have one of the original
Oh,
ones?
I got all that stuff. I've got all the original prints, all everything from the old days.
So on a just like a joking ball busting note, Lowell claims that he's responsible for the wheel opening.
Lowell.
Babcock. Yeah. I thought you would get a kick out of that.
I love them.
I thought you would get a kick out. Where is he these days? Do you know?
Out west.
He is. Okay. Last time I knew, I lost touch with him about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He was
rough
buying.
time there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how I lost touch with him. He was buying a farm in Kansas or Nebraska or something.
Yeah. And it is. Yep.
Still is.
I still got
is.
his number.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so Lowell and I used to. lot of stuff back and forth.
Okay, I wondered. Great.
Awful lot of my old T1s, GJ Limiteds, and even some of the J8s all ended up in his shop over there.
Okay.
I was a donor.
How was
he
his
got-
shop different? I thought he was on the design team.
Well, no, he,
That works differently, something?
yeah,
Okay.
his shop was hiding place for stuff.
That's what I understand. I mean,
and the thing
I've never
was-
got to do this with Lowell per
Oh, yeah.
se.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's not. I did, but I didn't get to. I didn't know as much then to ask the questions to
Yeah.
understand it better. You know what I mean?
He,
Yeah, the little tiny little thing.
yeah, he,
Because he was part of design team, but then he got to work off site. That's
well, yeah, his job really wasn't per se design team, other than he had carte blanche to be able to do a lot of the stuff,
Yeah.
make concepts up, and he got money and blessing from engineering. So it was kind of like an outsourced engineering. But
how do I get that job? That's
oh yeah, he actually worked for legal department. His job, in reality, was making displays, be it a whole vehicle, be it a cut vehicle, in half,
Yeah.
or whatever, for court cases. That was his job.
what?
Yes.
What?
Not
I
many,
mean-
not many know that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I.
He was very.
trail ride, did stuff all the
So
time.
right when he retired, and I'll just tell you our backstory.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
when he retired, he went to work for Jeep Action Magazine freelance.
Yeah, I still do.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Bowen and all the guys.
Yeah.
I did it before he was.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so we were at Bantam
Yeah.
in 14,
Mm-hmm.
and it was before hours, and Lowell was over at my booth taking pictures because
Yeah.
I have some pretty unique things that we kind of bring to the table.
Yeah.
And we ended up started talking, and then we just kind of stayed in touch. And he was really good. Like, we have a lot of kids; it's kind of important to our group, and so he was very kind to them. And
Oh yeah. Great guy.
and it was just really appropriate. You know what I mean? And we saw each other at a couple subsequent Jeep events for about 2 or 3 years. And then, like I said, well, maybe about 16, I think is when he moved out or something.
All of the first year of Bantam, all of the concept vehicles that ended up there, I called, and I got those from Mark L.
So that's the thing. Like, for whatever reason, I don't understand why there's like this void. Now, the concept vehicles were actually at a show called Jeep Fest, HRJ, Heritage Region Jeep Association Jeep Fest. And in the summer of 2010, they brought in the trailer. I still remember this 18-wheeler. It was wrapped something Mopar, Chrysler,
Right,
Jeep,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then they had 2 to 4 concepts that they had stuffed up in the back of this trailer. And that was for that group for that time. It was 2010. We didn't have the shows that we have now. You know what I mean? That was 500 Jeeps, 1,000 in a parking lot, and everybody thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Otherwise, you had, PA Allbreeds out to the east, you had, EJS out west, but we didn't really have the shows, you know what I mean? So anyway, Mopar Underground, or that trailer coming in, everybody thought was like, hey, this is unbelievable,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to find pictures of that, but that's who you're talking about, with...
Yeah. And the funny thing is, 20 years ago, Mark and I, we were just trail riding buddies, and he was just a designer there at Jeep at the time, and he liked Jeeps, and it was trail riding. He didn't even start out doing Jeeps. He was doing Dodge, too, and some of the cars.
Yeah.
And we just been wheeling together ever since.
No. Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I remember it was either the Hurricane, because the Hurricane was 06, 7, 8, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
Or it was Pork Chop, but I don't remember when Pork Chop came out.
Yeah.
And that's it certainly sticks out in my mind as far as one of the Jeeps that was on display there.
And the majority of those Jeeps, like the Sarge,
Yep.
they were all my leftover prototypes.
Yeah.
The Sarge is one of the JA two-doors.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
That's where they all came from.
So where do those Jeeps go at this point?
We scrapped them all in.
They all do.
I mean, a lot of them we got sitting we had sitting around and stuff, and then we repurpose them again into some of these other newer ones yet, different ones. But other ones we just take out the Chelsea and smush them. Yeah, I know. But I was part of because I was the one who went to Egypt to build the J8s and everything else and did all that. Well, we were also part of this whole work group that were trying to bring them back into the country because we couldn't do it legally because of diesels and everything else. So
I
that's
literally just said that. So I was talking about the J8
Oh, yeah.
conversion, and the diesel engine was not EPA.
No,
it
that's
wouldn't
right,
eat
yeah.
federal regulations.
And so anyways, we'd worked out a deal with AEV because we'd worked with them through different stuff. And a lot of the guys are AEV, Dave AEV, all these other guys worked with me.
Somehow switch back and forth between the Jeep design. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like, I don't
Oh,
understand
yeah.
that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, but anyways, and just like all of the Highline fenders you can buy and the hoods and stuff like that, those all came from QMC, which is the parent company of AEV, Quality Metal Craft. The J8 two-door side panels, the bulkhead handles, everything else, they all came from QMC. They stamped them for me.
Okay.
That's where it all came from.
yeah.
Yeah. So. So. Yeah.
Okay, I could talk your ear off. Oh my God, I got to get your contact information.
Oh, yeah.
This is
No problem. I'm around.
this is what my dreams are made of. So this is the kind of stuff. I have so many questions. I have, like, why does EJ want all these long wheelbase Jeeps? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, how can we get a J8? You know what I mean? Like,
That's right, yeah. The new Jeep, kind of cool. Jerry's been helping me build. For the last 30 years, we've been building all this stuff together.
yes.
Usually in my barn or my shop. But the new one, I got what looks like a stock hood for a TJ.
Okay.
I cut 3 inches out of it again, like I did this.
Yeah.
And I raised the fenders. Yep. And stuff. But anyways, I kept trying to fight with what I want to do for fenders and or flares. So I ended up making fenders out of aluminum, about this wide, and they're actually attached to the hood. When you open the hood, they come up with the hood, so they're out of the way.
Yes.
And the rest of the fender is right here, and it's bolted on.
Yes.
So you got the whole fender
exposure.
flare and everything else. So you just walk up to it, and just like this, I didn't bother putting them in, but all these are the Zeus fasteners, and my aluminum shield just go here to seal it up to the hood.
Yeah.
And that's just what I'm doing on the new one too.
On your LJ.
Yeah, LJ with the 440.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you have, easy access to
Oh.
the engine bay. 'Cause
Yep. So I repainted. I got a picture of it. But Jerry and I laid it out together. I figured a way to package electric fan, tranny cooler, power steering cooler, AC condenser, radiator, all in the stock radiator framework
Yeah.
on a TJ. It's only that wide and everything's in there.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then I put just to screw with people, I put CJ parking lights in it.
My LJ is it's a throwback to CJ. So
Yeah.
I have CJ parking lights. I have flat fenders.
Perfect.
I have CJ wiper arms on it. Like
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, there's actually the hood down with the fenders
Yes.
on it. And
Yes.
so when you open it up, the hood and fenders, everything comes up.
Everything
with it.
comes up.
But you can see the grill.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's CJ
a la
inspired,
CJ.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
God, is that cool?
So, but yeah, there's front end. See how high the fenders are. And
Well, I think that you're gonna be
it sounds like yours.
reasonably interested. Now we're showing baby pictures.
You betcha. Hell yeah. All my own accessory drive. There's inside. There's all the 4 hydraulic
there's your
controls,
hydraulic
and then the
controls.
steering brakes front of it, line lock in between, of course.
Yes.
All that shit that I got.
So
There's a 440 sitting in there.
there, switch.
Yeah,
oh my
sweet,
God.
sweet.
That is.
I love LJs.
Right?
Looks like Cape Hatters.
It. It is Cape Hatteras.
I grew up in and out of down there.
Oh my! I mean, it could be a beach anywhere. I don't. So Conneaut's on a beach, but oh my God, how funny! All right, Bruce. Oh my God, that was awesome. All right. Oh my, are you on online? Are you Facebook and all that kind of stuff?
Facebook, yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I can find you.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll
yeah.
be around. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. See you, man. Take care. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Like these are my superheroes. Oh, Mopar Underground guys. There's the coolest stuff.